back to my channel. I hope that you're doing well. Welcome to another video and welcome to a fake dating romance recommendation video. I feel like I've had this idea mapped out in my head for a long while. I just haven't sat down to film it. So I figured on this wonderful Saturday, I would sit down and share with you guys my favorite fake dating romances. There is something about a fake dating romance that just hits. I love it. I know so many of you guys love it. And I know that for a lot of people, this trope may seem outdone or outplayed, but I can read it every single time. And for the most part, if it's written right, enjoy it every single time. And I don't know, I just love when fake feelings turn into real feelings and the angst is so high. And I feel like all of the books that I'm going to talk about today do this relationship really, really well. Okay, I think I'm going to start this video off with the books that I don't currently have with me. I think all of the ones on this list that I'm thinking of, I do actually own them. I just don't have them in my vicinity at this house. And then we'll get into the ones that I have sitting right here that I would love to talk about. So without further ado, let's start with a book that is not an all-time new favorite romance. I think this book is very good at what it does. And for a lot of people, it is an all-time favorite. So I feel like it's only right that I recommend it. And that is Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ricci, the first book in the Addicted/Calloway Sisters series. Calloway Sisters series. Did I say that right? I don't know. But this one follows Lily and Lo, and they are both addicted to their own vices. Lily is addicted to sex and Lo is addicted to booze, and they use a fake relationship between the two of them to hide their addictions, but that fake relationship ends up turning into a real relationship, of course. And I think that this is a very interesting and well put together take on a fake dating relationship. However, that being said, if you are at all sensitive to addictions, this is not going to be the book for you. It is talked about in quite a lot of detail, but I do think that the trope in and of itself was used in a way that was very clever and very incisive, in a way that makes you feel for the characters in many more ways than I would expect in a relationship like this. And the ability for them to be really great friends, but also have just such debilitating vices that are inhibiting every aspect of their life, while still being able to fake date and then eventually fall in love with each other in the midst of all of that, is really beautifully well done. Again, it's not a new favorite for me. I think that it is a series that I could grow to love in time, but I do have to recognize that it is a really great fake dating romance. Okay, let's talk about one that I absolutely love. This series has a special place in my heart, and this book in particular is just so good, and that is Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. This book is incredible. This one follows Danny and Saphir. Danny and Saphir both work in a school. I think Saphir is the security guard, maybe? I don't remember. It's been a little while since I read this one. I definitely need to do a reread. But there is like a safety drill that happens at the school and the elevators shut down, and Saphir ends up like carrying Danny out like fireman style, and it gets caught on camera, and they get thrown into like this publicity stunt. I can't talk. Publicity stunt that kind of allows them to fake date. It's a mutually beneficial relationship, as most fake dating relationships are, and the two of them are already friends, and through this relationship they go from friends to fake dating to lovers, and it's just so good. It's so good. It's spicy. It's very well written. The mental health representation in this book is incredible. Saphir is just one of my favorite book boyfriends, and there's something about the charm of the series that lends well to any trope, but I just love the way that fake dating was represented in this book. Another one that I do not have with me, and that's just because I packed away my hardcover edition. I did have it at this house recently because I got a signed version at CMU LitCon, but that is Happy Place by Emily Henry. This is definitely a different take on a fake dating relationship as well. I think this is another way to spin this trope that doesn't make it feel like it's constantly being redone, but this one is one of Emily Henry's newest releases. Not her newest release, but one of her newest releases. And this one follows a couple that has been married for several years, and they have decided to get a divorce and break off their relationship, but they go to this family house every single year with all of their friends who are coupled up, and they go to spend one last summer together before the house gets sold. And at the time of arrival, they don't know that they're going to be spending the time together, but when they get there, they know the reason that is because it's going to be their last time, and they wanted to go out with one last hurrah. So they decide to pretend to still be in a relationship to meet the needs and make the people around them happy, and they end up falling back in love with each other in a place where they find the most joy and happiness. Hence their happy place. It is so good. I love Emily Henry, and I feel like her writing excels each and every book that she writes, and something about her writing a fake dating story with characters that were already previously together and have to fake being happy together was just such a beautiful story. This one also, just like most of Emily Henry's works, lends a little bit more to the literal fiction side. There is a lot of family dynamics, family past traumas, friendship dynamics that really play well into the story and make it what it is, and it's just so beautifully well written and well done, and I'm excited to do a reread at some point soon. Okay, I think those are the only 3 books that I don't currently have with me that I wanted to talk about, so let's jump into my stack of books that I have right here. This is in no particular order, just how I grabbed them off the shelf, but let's go ahead and start with a series that I am currently reading the last book of, and I love so much. I cannot stop recommending this series, and this is the Lost and Found series by Catherine Cowles, this one being Glimmers of You, and this book is just so freaking good. This book follows Caden and Gray. Caden and Gray have grown up together. They are family friends. Caden has been friends with Gray's brothers for a very long time. They were best friends growing up, and Caden had a pretty traumatic experience in his past. He lost his sister to cancer, and Gray ends up getting diagnosed with diabetes very closely following the death of Caden's sister. And previous to that, they were really good friends. They were really the only people that saw each other after the passing of Caden's sister, but that traumatic experience, almost losing Gray, really shuts Caden off to any type of relationship with her, and from that point on, they very much don't like each other. They don't get along. They're constantly bickering. They have this very tumultuous relationship, but Caden comes back into town to work at his family's ski resort, and they end up creating a fake dating relationship. There is an ex that is giving Gray some issues, and Caden needs to present well to his father in order to continue to run this resort, and they fake date. Obviously, it turns into more. This one definitely has some really interesting aspects to it because it is a friends to no longer friends to fake dating to lovers that really lends well to the story. It's also a romantic suspense, which all of the books in the series have that aspect to it, but when you factor all of that into the story that is being told here, it was just so beautifully well done. The layers of emotional trauma that is talked about and unveiled throughout the story also just adds so much nuance to the story that allows the characters to really grow and thrive in the setting that they're in, and I just love these characters so much. This is not my favorite book in the series, but I do think that Catherine Cowles can write a fantastic fake dating story. Up next, we have That Kind of Guy by Stephanie Archer. I feel like this one is a little bit underrated. I don't see a ton of people talking about this one, but I feel like it has to be mentioned. This one is a small town fake dating romance between a woman named Avery who really wants to buy the restaurant that she's been working at for several years, but she cannot get a loan. And then Emmett wants to run for mayor, I believe, but the people of the town don't see him as a strong enough candidate because he has never had a long-standing relationship. So Emmett convinces Avery to fake date him. That then leads to fake engagement and a fake marriage in order for them to look substantial in the eyes of the people around them. And in that, Emmett has promised that he will give Avery the money in order to buy the restaurant. And it becomes, again, a mutually beneficial relationship between the two of them with small town aspects that turns into more. And I just love this book so much. It has such a cute, quaint, charming aspect to it that brings so much light and levity to the story. And the small town antics in this story is just, it's over the top. It's so incredible and it's so much fun. There's something about the way that this story is written that just makes it such a fun, fast-paced fake dating story to witness, and it's one of those books that I think about quite often and absolutely need to do a reread of. Let's talk Abby Jimenez, because I have a few books that are on this list that I feel like are perfect for this category. The first one being Yours Truly. This one features a fake dating workplace romance that also has a little bit of letter writing and really just has some wonderful mental health representation. This one follows Brianna and Jacob, and they meet at their place of work, which is a hospital. They work in the ER, I believe, and I believe on Jacob's very first day, they end up calling him a Dr. Death because on his first day in the ER, several of his patients happen to pass away, and they end up getting into kind of a small altercation in the hallway that doesn't leave Brianna with the best impression of Jacob, and so he ends up writing her a letter to apologize and kind of explain why he was not in the best mental state at the time of their meeting. And from there, they start trading letters back and forth to each other and creating a really interesting friendship between their letters that then turns into a fake dating relationship once Brianna realizes that Jacob has to go to the wedding of his previous ex. So they fake date through that, and in that time, they just build this really beautiful friendship that blossoms into a very real and palpable and tangible relationship that has so much chemistry. And again, this book has incredible mental health representation from the male perspective, which I feel like is very rare to read about. And overall, I just really love Abby Jimenez's writing and her storytelling, and it's just so beautiful. This story made me cry, sob, laugh, have the best time. It also has some representation for kidney failure, so again, check the triggers if any of that stuff is sensitive to you, but it's definitely a story that I think about all the time. It's just so freaking good. And that being said, let's talk about another book in the series, and that is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This is her newest release in the Part of Your World series, and this book also has a little bit of aspects of fake dating that I personally just had so much fun with. There's something so beautiful about the way that Abby Jimenez twisted the fake dating trope in this one, but it definitely still counts under this category. This one follows Justin and Emma, and both of them have a very interesting experience in their life that not many people can relate to, and that is that every person that they date breaks up with them and then finds their one true love. And this has happened to them many, many times under very different but similar circumstances between the two of them. And after a Reddit thread that Justin puts online goes viral about his experience, they end up making a pact to fake date each other so that they can then find their true loves, because their curses cancel each other out. And obviously, you guys know that's going to turn into much, much more. But that is not just the crux of this relationship. There are so many things about this book that Abby Jimenez takes her time to delve into and talk about in ways that are just so poignant and very, very beautiful. This book also, again, talks about mental health in a very beautiful way. It also has some very interesting family dynamics that are explored and shed light on that just adds so much depth and nuance to the story that is just so beautiful. Again, this book made me laugh, it made me cry, it made me feel all the feels, it made me kick my feet, it made me feel so giddy for these characters, and it's definitely just a swoony romance that has just a little bit more depth than some of the other romances that I have on this list. And if you have not already picked up an Abby Jimenez book, what are you waiting for? I want to go back and talk about some of the staple fake dating romances that I feel like everybody talks about, but I feel like I have to also talk about them. The first one being The Deal by Elle Kennedy. This one is such an oldie but a goodie. I just love this series so much, and I feel like it hits. It hits every time. I need to do a reread because I want to know if I still feel the same way, but I have people that I'm watching all the time that are picking this up for the first time and still loving it just as much as I did when I first picked it up in, I think, 2020 or 2021. This one starts the off-campus series with Hannah and Graham. Hannah has an infatuation, I can't say that word, with a guy that she constantly sees at a coffee shop, but she doesn't have the courage or the confidence to go up to him and make a move. And Graham is a hockey player, and his grades are suffering, and as you guys know, for a lot of sports, his grades cannot plummet or he won't be able to play. So there is a pact that is made that Graham will teach Hannah how to date and make this guy jealous in order to have her get in a relationship with this guy that she has never talked to, and she will tutor him in order for him to pass his classes. Obviously, that turned into more. There is jealousy, there is angst, there is sexual tension galore, and Elle Kennedy just writes a really good romance, and then add fake dating into it, and it becomes absolute perfection. So if you haven't already picked this one up and you need a good sports romance to get you into a good fake dating mood, this is definitely one for you. Okay, I feel like I have to talk about another quintessential fake dating romance that everyone talks about, and that is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This one is another workplace fake dating romance where Olive is trying to convince her best friend to go out with another guy that she had previously dated, but her best friend doesn't want to break girl code, so she ends up kissing the first guy that she sees, and that's Adam. It is another one of those experiences where he needs to prove to the people of his board that he is here to stay. He has long-standing roots, and so he ends up fake dating Olive to help out to get his scholarship or some type of money that he needs to move on with his professional life. And Olive obviously wants to convince her friend that she is in a happy, healthy relationship, hence a fake dating relationship. But this one is just so fun. It's fast-paced, it's quirky, it's full of like angst and sexual tension, but also just a really good, at the surface, fake dating romance that just brings so much light to the story. If you haven't already read it, it's a fantastic book. I love Ali Hazelwood's writing. I have had the privilege of reading quite a few of her works and really enjoying them. So if you haven't read it, definitely pick it up. Don't be afraid of the Star Wars reference. I mean, I never watched Star Wars, nor am I interested in Star Wars, so that didn't bother me, but I feel like if you don't love Star Wars reference, I'm sure you will still really enjoy the story. I feel like another one that a lot of people talk about, but I feel like I still have to recommend, is The Lovelight Farms by B.K. Borison, the first book in the Lovelight series. This is another really fantastic fake dating romance. I just love the way that these two characters interact together, and I think the beauty of a good fake dating romance that has also friends to lovers is something that is just top tier. I love a good friends to lovers, but add fake dating into it, and that's just on another level. This one follows Stella and Luca. Stella runs a Christmas tree farm, and the farm is failing. She is losing money, she's in the red every single month, and she does not want to give up on this farm. So she enters a contest to have a social media person come and really advertise her place, but there's also a prize at the end of it for whoever wins the contest. And she tells in her application that she runs this farm with her boyfriend. Problem is, she doesn't have a boyfriend, so she asks her best friend Luca to be her fake boyfriend for the time being while Evelyn is here to take a look at the farm. And their friendship is so beautiful. They have a really wonderful, incredible friendship together, and then you add the fake dating aspect on top of it, and it's just so freaking top tier. These two characters have so much chemistry, so much on-page chemistry that was so much fun to watch. It's a fun, quirky, small-town romance that has the very in-depth and rumor-adjacent small-town antics, and I just had so much fun with the story. I loved all 3 books in the series, and I cannot wait for the 3rd book to come out very, very soon. Okay, let's go to a series that you guys all know that I love so much, so I had to include at least one of the books in the series, and that is Hopeless by Elsie Silver, the last and final book in the Chestnut Spring series. This is also fake dating. This one follows Bailey and Beau. Both of them are tortured with things from their past and the current places in which they are living. Beau has just come back from being missing in action. He was a man in the military, some part of the military, and he goes missing in action, and he comes back, and obviously he's reeling from that experience, having PTSD and things of that nature. But he comes back and he runs into Bailey, and Bailey is the town pariah. Nobody really likes her. Her family has kind of caused her a lot of issues in the past, and people look down on her because of that. And Beau just wants to protect her. He wants to step in and give her the safety and protection that she requires. And so they agree to fake date, and in order for one to get Beau's family off his back, they're all really worried about him. All things considered, totally plausible reason to be worried about a family member, but he just wants some peace. He wants to find peace after all of this, and he knows that if he has a girlfriend, it will make him look a little bit better. And Beau offers Bailey his protection through dating because he is very well known in this town and nobody fucks with him, and so they fake date. And it's just so good. It's so freaking good. There's an age gap aspect to this, and Bailey is just this spitfire, very strong personality, but she is just so broken down from being constantly picked on in this town, and he just steps up, sweeps in, and saves her while letting her be the strong, independent woman that she is. And it's just so freaking good. I love this book so much. I know for a lot of people this didn't hit the way that they wanted to, but for me, it hit in all the ways it was supposed to. Another fake dating story that I personally really freaking enjoy, and that is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. This one is another small town fake dating romance that is just so fun. It's a bit of a thicker book, but if you are willing to sit through Lucy Score's 500-page books, I promise you they are worth it. This one follows Naomi and Knox. Naomi comes into town after being a runaway bride, and her sister calls and asks for help. When she gets to this small town, however, her sister is missing, and she has left her 7-year-old daughter for Naomi to watch over. That being said, Naomi's twin sister has wreaked havoc in this town for long enough, and nobody freaking likes her. In fact, they call her the evil twin. And so Naomi gets constantly mistaken for her, and she's kind of forced to pay for the sins of her family, even though she's just getting here and she is obviously suffering with quite a bit. She has just run away from her marriage. She has now become essentially a single parent. And Knox, who is very much well known in this town, just doesn't want to deal with the complications. But Naomi kind of sweeps into his life and brings chaos, but also quite a bit of feelings for him. And they end up in a very interesting fake dating relationship. I honestly can't remember the reason why they fake date, but they do. And it turns into obviously more. It's so good. It's so fun. The end of this book gets a little like mustache twirly, but personally I really loved it. I think that Lucy Score writes phenomenally well written, just really swoony romances, and I feel like this is no exception. Up next we have A Not So Meet Cute by Megan Quinn. This one is actually a really interesting fake dating story that I don't feel like I've seen very often, and I don't think I would ever want to see it again because I don't feel like everybody can do this particular scenario justice. And this one follows Huxley and Lottie. Huxley is in an interesting situation. He's trying to gain this business acquisition. At the time when he's talking to this potential business partner, the guy says, oh yeah, I'm gonna be married and my wife is pregnant. And he's like, me too. I'm getting married and my fiance is also pregnant. Problem is, he doesn't have a fiance and she's definitely not pregnant. So he now has to figure out a way to combat that. And Lottie is down on her luck. She just lost her job. She has to move back in with her family and she just doesn't want this. So she's like, I'm gonna go out on the street and look for a hot man that has money to save me. They meet on the street in the exact scenario in which they require, and they enter into a fake dating fiance relationship that just has a lot of humor and hijinks and just so much tension between the characters because they do not like each other. This is a really true, they just do not like each other's presence, but those higher, angsty feelings turn into less hate and more love, and it's just so fun. I don't think that everybody should handle a fake pregnancy I just don't think that, you know, there are only a few ways for which this can go. I feel like Megan Quinn did it correctly in a way that was not insensitive to many people that could be reading this, but I don't know if I would ever want to read this experience again. That being said, I think that she did it well and I had a good time with it, and I just think that this book was so much fun. There is a scene in this book that still to this day I can think about and laugh out loud because it was just so freaking funny. So if you're looking for a shorter fake dating romance that has some humor as well as angst and sexual tension, this is definitely a good one. Then I want to talk about The Temporary Wife by Katerina Mora. This is another book in a series that I was very hesitant to pick up because I did not like the first book in the series, but this one really blew me out of the water. This one follows another Luca and Valentina. In this world, these characters are already knowing that they have to be arranged marriage with people of high stature in order to get their inheritance, blah, blah, blah. But Luca ends up getting engaged to a person that he just wants nothing to do with. Like, he's just not about that life. Valentina has been his assistant for many, many years. At first, it was against his will, and now he's like, I can't live my life without her. I need her in my life. She helps everything run smoothly. But Valentina's like, I can't watch you marry this person. I've realized that after many, many years that I really have too much feelings for you and I just can't watch you marry her. And so she quits, and he's like, what can I do to get you back? Like, how can I get you to work for me again? And he was like, you know what? Scratch that. I'm gonna marry you. So they get married, and they obviously have to fake date for his family in order for the terms of his inheritance to actually be viable. So they end up having a fake marriage that is just so much fun. It's angsty, it's full of like hijinks and lies and real feelings that are so buried under hate and resentment that they can't figure out how to properly work together. But Luca is one of those people that is like, I'm married to you, you are my wife, and I will treat you as such. And it's just so good. It's so good. It's very well written. I didn't enjoy the first book in the series, but the second book in the series was just so good that I'm excited to pick up book 3. Second to last on the list, I want to talk about Twisted Lies by Anna Huang. This is her longest book in the Twisted series. It is a slow burn, fake dating, influencer, billionaire romance. And I just had such a fun time with this one. I feel like this is another book that is so quintessential, very of its time, and very well known in the fake dating space. But this one follows Stella and Christian. Stella lives in the apartment complex that Christian owns, and Christian has been kind of infatuated with Stella from the day that they walked into this building, and ever since then he's kind of stalked her a little bit, and he's quite obsessed. And when something goes awry in Stella's life with a fan that gets a little overzealous, Christian offers to protect her in more ways than one, but also she knows that if she gets into a relationship and she allows for people to see a little bit more of her personal life, that will give her more opportunities for more followers. So they enter into a fake dating relationship where Christian gets to protect Stella, and Stella gets some type of reward from it in regards to monetary and influencer status. And they have a forced proximity experience because they are living in the same penthouse suite, and he is a billionaire, so he's willing to spend all of his money to make sure that Stella is taken care of and well cared for. And I just love this book so much. Christian is a very hard, aloof person. He doesn't have a lot to give for a lot of people in his life, but for Stella, he will literally do anything. And for me, that is my favorite kind of hero. And finally, I want to talk about Riven Knight by Daphne Perry. This is the second book in the Clifton Forge series, and this one is a fake marriage. And I really liked this one. I feel like this one offered a little bit more depth of story to the series than the first book in the series did for me, but I really, really enjoyed how the author twisted a fake marriage scenario. But basically, I don't want to spoil too much because I do feel like this series is meant to be read in succession, not really out of order. But this one follows Isaiah and Genevieve. They end up being in a very dangerous and precarious situation at the end of book 1 in the series, and when they come back in town, they announce to everyone that they are married. They do in fact get married for Isaiah's protection, but you don't really know why, and they are forced to lie to everyone in their lives to make it seem as though they really are married, and they are living in this very like small shoebox apartment above a garage, very forced proximity situations where they are forced to rely on each other both emotionally and physically to get through the hard times that they are in, and they really lean on each other in ways that I wasn't expecting these characters to open up and do for one another. And I just really enjoyed the way that these two were written and how the scenario was played out, and all of the above was just really well done. It's a small town, romantic suspense, motorcycle club romance series, and I had a really good time with book 2 in the series. All right, that is it. That is all the books that I wanted to recommend for my fake dating recommendations. Behind the scenes, this took quite a long time. I was having some technical difficulties, so I hope that everything turns out okay. The lighting was a little funky, my technology was not working the way I wanted it to, so I'm praying that it all turns out okay. I really, really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you also enjoy fake dating romances and I didn't recommend one in this video, please leave them down in the comments below. I'm always looking for a good fake dating romance to add to my TBR. If you've read any of these and you want to share your comments on them, feel free to do that as well. And if you made it to the end and you don't know anything else to comment, leave an X emoji. That's the first thing that came to my head, so that's what we're rolling with. That is the end of this video, though. I really, really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave. And of course, leave any comments, questions, and suggestions in the comment section below. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!
Thanks, baby. Turn it down.